So today is an impromptu live. Um, and if you're returning, you know that I do live sometimes just for support for anybody who has subscribed to the channel. And today our topic is going to be heartbreak and rumination. It's not really about the tarot today, so I'm just going to wait to see if anybody pops into the chat, and we'll do a general reading with our Millennium Thought deck, which was purchased in London. So how's everybody doing out there in YouTube land? I have reserved a room at the library for us, and so I thought I would take this time to open the discussion, open the table for anybody who is coming to tarot to get over heartbreak or inquire about somebody that they haven't moved on from. I know a lot of people come to tarot readings because they want to know about their ex or somebody that they haven't moved on from. So I thought it would be a good idea to talk about that, to talk about how to move on from somebody that you are still currently attached to, that you still think about often. If you don't know what the word rumination is, the word rumination actually just means to think about something obsessively, to overthink. Okay, and so today I thought I would talk about that. I don't know if anybody is going to join the chat or not, but I did bring the tarot so that I can pull some energies of anybody who might be experiencing heartbreak, might be overthinking, might still be attached to somebody that they need to detach from. So as I always say when it comes to healing, the first step is going to be admitting that you need help. Admitting that maybe there is an attachment to someone or something that we need to let go of. Typically, when you're still in a period of rumination, there can be many reasons why we have rumination. I know in the spiritual world, we talk a lot about when you're thinking a lot about someone, that typically means that they're thinking about you. Now that can be true. It's not always true. Sometimes we still have to process the things that have happened, that have taken place. So I'll go through an example of a time when I had a lot of ruminating thoughts, which is pretty normal after a breakup. It's pretty normal to think a lot about someone when you break up with them. It's very normal. And a lot of people will tell you to just stop. But the more that you tell yourself to just stop, the more that you're going to keep thinking about that person. So instead, go ahead and lean into it. Go ahead and lean into it. Lean into it. Continue to think about that person and maybe journal as to why you feel as though you have those thoughts. So the first step is going to be to admit, okay, I haven't completely gotten over this person. I am still thinking about that person, and it is affecting me. Because it can be difficult to admit that you are still hung up on someone, especially if you are coming out of a relationship. Especially if you're coming out of a relationship that it was a little bit toxic, or if it was a special relationship to you. I know a lot of the times when we leave relationships that aren't good for us, it can be kind of difficult or even shameful to admit that you have a hard time moving on from it, because you have everybody around you telling you that person wasn't good for you, you're better off, and they're just dismissing your feelings, which isn't actually helpful. It's difficult to get over a relationship It doesn't matter if it was a good relationship, a bad relationship, it doesn't matter. That was something that was important to you in your life at one period of time. Now you're trying to shift from not relying on that person or that individual in the same way that you did. So it's natural to think about them a lot. The thing that isn't healthy is to not be able to distract yourself from those thoughts. So if you find that the ruminating thoughts are taking over your life and causing you to act out or to have that anxiously attached kind of persona, then that's when it's good to talk about it with other people, right? So at that point, it's good to talk about it. And it's not always easy to do that, especially say you're divorcing someone who wasn't good for you, as an example. So then it can be hard to find an outlet to talk about why you're still thinking about it. That's why support groups are good. I know a lot of people come to tarot instead because they want to know what their ex is doing. They want to know what this person is doing. It's normal to want to check in. That's normal. So although I don't think it's going to help you it's definitely not going to help you to move on from that person, to go to a tarot reading and ask about how they are. Do they still miss me? It's actually not going to help you move on from that person if you're watching tarot readings about them. If anything, it's going to make it harder for you to move on from them. It's going to make it harder for you to stop thinking about them. I don't advise to go to tarot readings to get over someone unless you're going to the tarot reader as a support network to talk about it and to try and process what it is that you're feeling, because it is important to talk about it. It's important to talk about it. So that's what we're here today to discuss. And the chat is open for anyone who wants to put their situation out there or give any specific examples. And for me, I have a lot of examples because every time we break up, it is the challenging thing. You know, you go into that rumination. And so the first thing that you want to do is, like I said before, to kind of accept that you're having difficulty moving on and to try and find support networks for yourself that are not that person. Because a lot of the times, relationships that we have nowadays are bonded unhealthfully. There are a lot of relationships that are codependent or that are trauma bonds. So to get to the root of what type of relationship did I actually have with that person, how did that relationship affect me? Why was it important? And maybe even to look back at what went wrong in that relationship so that you can fully accept what happened and to fully remove kind of that crutch that you had with that person. So that's important. So yeah, so it can be all about getting to the root of why was I attached to that person? Why do I still have a hard time moving on from that person? What did that relationship teach me? Because more than likely you learned something about yourself. If you didn't, then maybe it's time to be introspective. So I'll pull some cards. This is not really about tarot today, but to help people talk and to get examples of the type of things that can happen. I'll pull some cards. So we have the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man. So if I was doing a tarot reading for somebody who was trying to heal their heartbreak or their rumination, and I pulled out the Hanged Man, we have the Hanged Man, and we have the Moon, and we have the Queen of Pentacles. So first and foremost, the Queen of Pentacles to me is a very nurturing individual. It can be normal to distract yourself with work and to find things to do to distract yourself. Okay, a lot of people distract themselves with work, but instead what we could be doing is going into Hanged Man mode, which is to look at things from a different perspective. I know a lot of people see the Hanged Man as, well, there's a separation, there's a break period, there's a going inwards period. But my favorite thing about the Hanged Man is that it's asking you to go inwards, to what does it mean to go inwards? It means to think about it. It actually means to connect with your subconscious and look at things from a different perspective. So in other words, you could even try and relate to your ex. Let's say your ex, the reason that you broke up, your ex wants to say it's because you don't validate their feelings. That's just an example. So maybe you can try and look at that from their perspective and see, is it really true? Do I really have a hard time validating other people's feelings? So that's what I see. The Hanged Man, getting a perspective, going upside down, and getting in touch with your subconscious. And especially because we have the moon is all about the subconscious. The moon is the things that we cannot see, the things that are unknown, the things that are in the dark, and that is where the dark night of the soul exists. If you don't know what dark night of the soul is, I suggest looking it up. The dark night of the soul actually didn't come from spirituality. It came from, I think, a psychologist or a psychiatrist. And if you can look it up, I forget, I don't know if it was, I'm trying to remember who, it doesn't matter. You can look it up, the dark night of the soul, and who came up with the dark night of the soul and what it means in spirituality, and that's what the moon is. So every relationship is going to trigger your dark night of the soul. That would be unhealed trauma, or triggers are example of the dark night of the soul. And if you don't know what your triggers are, what your dark night of the soul is, it's going to be even harder for you to regulate your emotions. It's going to be even more challenging for you. And the breakup will be even more challenging for you because it's going to be difficult for you to see the compatibility without all these triggers. Okay, so, all right, what I want to do now is see, what do I do? We'll ask the tarot. What do I do now that this relationship is over? What do you do? That could be a challenging thing too. If you were in a relationship for a long period of time, you now have to find out who you are without that person. Prince of Pentacles. So that would be like enacting your will and really breaking down if that relationship was just about the physical, or was it about something more? I'm not sure if anybody's going to come out into the chat today, but I am here for support for anybody who does come across this. Hello, yes, so I'm here today for support for anybody who is going through a rough patch, or trying to get over heartbreak and or ruminating thoughts about somebody. And I am discussing right now triggers and how to. Chris Sinwart says, hi, will Ed Joy visit me in the future? Hi, so I'm not doing free tarot questions today. That's on Sundays. But what I can do is ask if this is even a relationship that's good for you. Chris Sweenhart, did you have a breakup recently? Did you have a breakup recently? Are you trying to get over someone? That's what today's live is about. It's not about answering questions. In fact, the tarot is not really a good thing for breakups, unless you want to ask, how can I move on? No, I'm a friend of his. Okay. So, do you have feelings for your friend? I'm at the library in case anybody's wondering. And then people will come up and they'll look at the door. Yeah, so I don't want people to get confused. The free questions are on Sunday. If you need a question, you can go ahead and PayPal me $5 and I can answer that question for you. Otherwise, if you wish to discuss your heartbreak, any heartbreak that you might have, or rumination, which rumination is obsessive thinking. He's a good guitarist, singer, and very funny. Okay. What brings you to the live stream today? I used to be a singer, oddly enough. Oddly enough, I was a singer a really long time ago. You always wanted to know what? If your friend liked you? You always wanted to know stuff. Okay. Yes, so today's explicitly a live stream to discuss heartbreak. So, as it says in the title, I'm here to talk about anybody who is having struggles getting over somebody, and it's not necessarily a good thing to go to tarot reader if you're still wanting to get back with that person. And tarot readers will take your money. They will take your money and they will tell you what you want to do. And that's not what I do here. In fact, I'm going to actually ask you more questions about yourself and how you're doing and what you can do to better your situation without that person. There is one person I really, really miss, Chelsea. Oh, okay. Yeah, so it can be difficult to find a support network when your relationship is over. But also we get into a place of craving and wanting, which is something that I've been working on to heal my own heartbreak and loneliness. I think that we live in a world full of loneliness, and people do attach themselves to other people. But what we really do is we attach ourselves to the idea of people, not the person themselves. So, yeah. And in Zen Buddhism, which is, I really like to talk about that here on these lives, they say, Chris says, she disappeared before I could know her better. Have you tried to reach out? Zen Buddhism says that we're human. To be human is to suffer, and craving is to suffer, and longing is to suffer. So what they teach us is to sit in that discomfort and just sit in it and not do anything about it. Okay. Yeah. So I guess now, if you're not able to reach that person, you're not able to reach out and connect with them, because it is human to want to have that connection, and we desire to have that connection, and we need that for our needs. Instead of attaching yourself to somebody who you have this longing for, in order to alleviate that suffering, I would suggest to connect with other people. If you can connect to that one particular person, there's other types of relationships that you can have. You can find a community. For example, for me, it was a Zen Buddhism community. You can join a group, a gardening group, a support group, and you can have all types of relationship that can make you feel like you have community. Chris says, I don't know if she's dead or alive. Oh, well, that's challenging. Have you tried finding this person online on the internet and reaching out to them? Oh, that's a fascinating story. I really do hope you're able to find your friend. Yeah, I do hope you're able to find your friend. It's pretty hard to not be found nowadays with social media and all that type of jazz. But yes, Chris, if you're looking for a reading, we can schedule a session. But the free questions I do on Sunday, so you can come back on Sunday. Or if you're looking for a consultation, self-development consultation, feel free to email me. Yes, and I do have my tarot cards here. How did you meet your friend? I know a lot of people meet online now, but I think now we're coming down to a place where we don't connect in person anymore. And I don't know where you're based. I'm based in America. And I think people have a hard time connecting in person now in America. And I think that is also creating more loneliness and separation because we've kind of lost that group mentality, that community-based group mentality. People don't know how to find it. And it's important. It's important to be around people and to have presence and to have community. Well, Chris, I do hope you find your friend. And if you're looking for, you can come back to the Sunday live stream. I will do the question and answer session. And we're just trying to get people into the chat. Let's see what the collective reading says. I'll do a collective cross. Okay, Eight of Swords. Eight of Swords. Eight of Swords is definitely the card of rumination, because it can, sometimes when we break up with people or if we're missing people, we can go into a place where we beat ourselves up or we talk down to ourselves. We go into a negative mind frame. We're lacking optimism. And Ten of Wands, it's feeling like a heavy burden. Things feel like they're moving slow. And Ten of Swords, thinking about how it is really difficult. It's a difficult transition in our life. It can be difficult when a breakup happens. Seven of Pentacles in reverse, feeling like we're wasting our time in the world. Like things aren't coming to fruition, like we're not able to manifest what we want. That can be how we feel. Wanting things to move quickly. Yes, so I suffer from this as well. Knight of Swords, that impatience, that can make it very challenging when you're feeling bad. You're wanting the feeling to just end. Instead of being able to sit and cope with the feeling, you're just like, I want this to be over, I want it to be over. And then we find different ways to numb the pain instead of just sitting in it and allowing the moment and the healing to pass. Let's see. Five of Cups. Yep, see, feeling disappointed, feeling like depression and disappointment. Trying to get over the pain, emotional pain. And an outcome. Ooh, we got two cards of an outcome here. Planning for the future and how we're going to make things happen for our future. When we get out of this mentality, because time can pass and we distract ourselves with the things that we want to do, that doesn't necessarily mean that we don't have that same amount of pain anymore just because time has passed, because time doesn't heal all wounds. Actually, it can make the wounds worse if you don't deal with it. That's why when we get into this mode of I want things to hurry up, I don't want to feel this way anymore, I just quickly want to be in another relationship, it can be kind of dangerous because you're not really dealing with the pain. You have to sit with the pain, you have to deal with the pain, and you have to go through that process and transmute it to be able to be fully healed, to accept love back into your life again. So let's get advice for this spread. And for anyone who might come across this, later, this is the childhood trauma card. In my readings, the Six of Cups is rumination, 100%. This is probably the biggest card. These two cards are the biggest cards of overthinking and rumination, also with the Queen of Swords. But Six of Cups can also be childhood trauma. So the advice is, of course, ancestral trauma. Heal your ancestral trauma. Heal your relationship to the pain that your family members have passed down to you, and make better decisions. Once you're fully aware and cognizant of what your triggers are, what your childhood traumas are, how you are in relationships, that is going to help you to attract better relationships. Anything else? And I'm probably going to end the live because there's no one in the chat. But if you come across this later, you are meant to see this today to help you heal, help you move on. I am always available for consultations, okay? Remember, the free questions are only on Sundays. Let's see if we can get closer to this. Ace of Swords. Realization. Having the realization to know that I have something that I need to heal. I love that. The Ace of Swords. So this is like the rainbow after the storm. Like, I've already been through and processed everything. I know now I am face to face with myself, what it is that I need to do. I realize now what purpose that relationship served, and now I can accept that it's over, or that I can accept what happened and my part in it, which I love that. Now, I know this probably isn't going to be a popular stream. I mean, maybe this will be a popular stream, and I really do hope so, because in order to really have better relationships and not be heartbroken and not be thinking about that person, you have to fully understand yourself and the purpose that relationship served. If you can't be honest with yourself about what type of relationship it was, your role in that relationship, and why you're still attached to them, then you're always going to be in pain, and you're always going to be looking for that band-aid or that quick fix, and there really isn't a quick fix. But if you are finding yourself overthinking about that person, you just need to do it. You need to think about it until you get it out of your system, and you can go to support. I'm not saying reach out to that person. No, I'm saying find out who you are without that person. Talk about it as much as you need to talk about it. Analyze it until you can be okay without that person. 8 of Wands. Things will move quickly. Life will move on if you allow it to happen. Okay, so I know when you have a breakup, everyone's going to tell you not to reach out, not to think about them and all that. And yes, it is good to go no contact. But there's a reason why. It's because you have to learn who you are without that person again. So things will move on. Things will move quickly if you allow them to. Any last words from the guides? Knight of Wands. Be carefree about it. Be carefree. I love the Knight of Wands. And as advice, this is saying how do I explain the philosophy behind the Knight of Wands? The Knight of Wands is somebody who's spiritual. The Knight of Wands comes into your life, and they're very charming and charismatic. They don't necessarily stay. It's the type of person who's a bit of a nomad. If you adopt that mentality that you don't own, you can't own a person. You can't own them. If you adopt that mentality, it makes it easier for you to let people come in and let people go. Those who are meant to stay will stay, and those who are meant to leave will leave. Because then once you adopt that, you can have a new relationship. Ace of Cups come in, that you allow that one to go. We do have the Devil here. I see the Devil and the 5 of Wands. In a breakup, the Devil and the 5 of Wands is trying to win the argument, just wanting to have that relationship for ego. I'm not saying that's you. I'm just reading the cards here. This is just general. But yeah, sometimes it's difficult for us to let go of a relationship because of our ego. Because, like, say someone dumped you or doesn't want to talk to you, it can be difficult to accept that because it's a shot to our ego. You don't want to accept that that happened, and or we are trying to write a story in our head with that person that can go against sort of the nature of things sometimes. So winning at all costs, to release control and to relinquish that, and to not suffer from longing, is to not getting attached as much to the idea of that person will allow you to kind of release control. Okay, you guys, I'm going to get off of here. There is nobody in the chat right now. And so I will close it out. And as per usual, I probably won't be posting much this week. I might only be posting shorts, but I will be back this weekend for the free questions. And if you need a tarot reading, feel free to reach out to me. Otherwise, I'll see you guys here this weekend. See you all later.